What's up, folks? I'm Papa Hefe, and welcome to my channel. You know, bikers are an interesting group. We're an insular subculture, so that means we've developed some behaviors and idiosyncrasies that might seem a little weird to those not in the know. And I've been asked on more than one occasion, hey, why do bikers do that? Now, it's a beautiful day out for a ride, and I couldn't think of any better time for me to go out there and talk to you about a number of those weird things that bikers do that you might see, and that if you're not in the know, you might not understand. Now, originally this list had 5 bullet points, but while I was talking to my wife about it the other night, I came up with a couple more, and I get the feeling that more are going to come to me while I'm out on the road. So rather than just telling you, hey, I'm going to talk about X number of biker behaviors, I'm just going to talk about them. So let's get out there.
Alright, so biker behavior number 1. This is the one that I get asked about the most often, and the one that seems to confuse the most people, and that's the wave. You remember how I said bikers are kind of an insular community? Well, there's a reason for that. Because we're so exposed on these death machines, we tend to view the world as us against them. It's very easy for a car driver who's not paying that much attention, who's texting, who's just being a car driver, to completely not see us when we're out on the road. And because of that, there's this sense of unity amongst bikers. In general, it doesn't matter what you ride, it doesn't really matter how you ride. If you're on 2 wheels, you're out there experiencing the same world that I'm experiencing. We're in the same breeze, we're in the same traffic. And so when we cross paths with one another on the road, we tend to greet one another. We'll stick our left hand out with 2 fingers like that, saying, hey man, I see you. What's up? You're riding a bike, I'm riding a bike. Ain't that freaking awesome? Now, of course, not everybody waves the same way. As a general rule, it's the 2 fingers down, but some people do theirs out like this. I myself tend to point. I know some guys like to be goofy and they'll straight up, hi! There we go. Coming up on the left, we got a trike here. I'm gonna give my dude the wave. So, dude, there you go, 2 fingers down. I haven't had one guy a couple of months ago when I waved at him give me the fist straight up in the air, and I thought it was kind of ironic because, you know, that's a gesture of triumph, but he wasn't riding a Triumph. So, dude, so when you see us waving at each other, it's not a, hey, I know that guy, but rather a gesture of solidarity. Alright, behavior numero 2. This is the weave. You've seen us doing this, right? You've looked in your rearview mirror, and you've seen a biker weaving back and forth behind you. Especially at night, you'll see that headlight bobbing and weaving back and forth. What's that all about? Is he being aggressive? Is he trying to find a space to pass you? Is he trying to intimidate you? No. The truth is there are a number of reasons we do this, and none of them have to do with aggression or trying to find a space to pass. First and foremost, long straight stretches of road get boring. And that's just a way to shake things up a little bit. A little bobbing and weaving just to make things interesting. Another part of it is just the way the motorcycle tires are shaped. They're not flat across the bottom like car tires. They're actually rounded, which means that we have a narrower contact patch. And that means we need to be super aware of things like traction. So when you leave the house in the morning, your tires are cold. The rubber doesn't flex as well, and it doesn't grip the asphalt as well as warmed up tires do. So one reason you might see us weaving back and forth like this is that we're actually warming up the sidewall of our tires. And what that's going to allow us to do is corner harder without sliding. Because let me tell you, a low side sucks. The weave is also a really great way to get things like mud off the sides of your tires. Just like warming up those tires, you need to knock things like mud off of them so that you can corner. Because again, low siding and sliding through a corner sucks. But the primary reason we do the weave is for visibility. You'll hear a lot of bikers refer to this as the Smidsy weave. And Smidsy stands for, sorry man, I didn't see you. Now it says a lot about the phrase, sorry man, I didn't see you, that we hear it enough that it's become its own acronym, almost universally recognized amongst motorcyclists. Because we just hear that all the time. Almost any time a motorcyclist is hit by someone else or cut off by someone else in a car, if there's any interaction other than an exchange of obscene gestures, it's probably going to involve the phrase, sorry man, I didn't see you. So the purpose of the Smidsy weave is to make us more visible. Motorcycles are small, they can be hard to see, and they're just not what you've trained yourself to look out for. You've trained yourself to look out for cars. But some guy bobbing and weaving back and forth in his lane, you're probably going to notice that. And it's a generally accepted truth that I'd way rather you be ticked off at me for what I'm doing than just plain not notice me. Because being invisible can get you killed. This is especially applicable at night, which is when I do most of my riding. Because motorcycles generally have one headlight, when you encounter one in traffic coming head on, it can be hard to tell at night sometimes. Is that a car coming from a quarter mile away? Or is that a motorcycle much closer? And so the Smithy Weave just makes you more visible and makes other drivers more likely to notice you.
5 hours later.
Alright, number 3, the launch. I've had a lot of people ask me why it is that when a motorcycle takes off from a stop that they accelerate so hard. And the main reason for that really is to dodge the greatest dangers of being on a motorcycle, that being traffic. Even car drivers who are pretty conscientious about not being on their phones, not fiddling with their radios, not doing a lot of the things that can distract you while you're in a car, they'll still do those things just when they're at a red light. And so what that means for bikers is that intersections are objectively the most dangerous place on the road. All it takes is for the guy behind you to not be paying that close of attention, and he rear ends you and flattens you. Or the guy in the lane next to you comes over because, oh, I needed to change lanes back there and I forgot to do it and I'm going to do it now. And he runs you over and he flattens you. So the best way for us to separate ourselves from that danger is to hard accelerate away. And there's nothing really more complicated to it than that. We're not trying to show off, we're not trying to race anybody. We're just trying to get home safely. Number 4, the cut. This is really more of a thing that applies to guys on cruisers. So what is a cut? Well, if you've ever seen your stereotypical Harley Davidson rider, you've seen the guys wearing those black leather vests with patches all over them. And that's basically what a cut is. Traditionally, a cut is a jacket with the sleeves cut off. Myself, that's what I wear, but it's not a leather jacket, it's a denim jacket. And there are a multitude of reasons that we wear these. First and foremost, it's where you wear your patches. Why do bikers wear patches? Why do people put bumper stickers on their cars? It's a layer of expression, personalization. It lets the world know who you are. Also, at least in my case, my cut is super handy dandy for storage. I do own a proper leather riding jacket, and despite what you might be led to believe judging just by the videos that I've posted, I wear it a solid 90% of the time that I go out. And while that jacket's great for what it is, you know, it offers plenty of slide protection, it doesn't have a lot of storage. It's got a couple of side pockets, but that's it, and those are really hard to get to when you're in motion. Whereas my cut has a couple of breast pockets with button closures, so I can keep things there like my wallet, change for tollways, pretty much whatever I might need regularly while I'm out on the road. Not even necessarily while I'm riding, but just while I'm out and about doing things on my motorcycle. Plus it does add one extra layer of protection, and you never know, that one extra layer might make the difference between a trip to the hospital and skin grafts and walking away from a slide thinking you're lucky stars that you weren't hurt. Number 5, the stand. If you pay attention to bikers out on the road, you might sometimes notice us stand on our foot pegs. Why do they do that? Are they showing off? Do they think that makes them look cool? Are they stunting? No. I mean, stunt riders are a thing, and yes, the first step on that path is learning to be comfortable standing on your foot pegs. But that's not the primary purpose for doing it. Most of us, when we stand up on our foot pegs, we're trying to do one of two things. A, we're trying to see what's further ahead of us. If you stand up on your foot pegs, you can see further ahead of you in traffic. You can see whether that light is about to turn red. You can see if the cars ahead of you are all clustered up together and you need to back off. You just get better visibility. The second reason is to absorb bumps. On a motorcycle, your legs and your butt are an integral part of the suspension. And especially if you're riding on an old hardtail motorcycle, that is one that doesn't have any suspension in the rear, you can feel every bump in the road. And so rather than just riding with your butt in the saddle until your kidneys rattle loose, a lot of us will just stand up a little bit to absorb those bumps more easily. We're not trying to show off. We're just trying to make our ride a little more comfortable. Number 6, the leg. Sometimes when you're out on the road behind a biker, you might see them move to one side and kick their leg out like that. What they're doing is they're indicating a hazard in the road. If you kick your left leg out, that means there's a hazard to the left. If you kick your right leg out, that means there's a hazard to the right. It's part of a system of rider shorthand that's existed in some form or another for over a century now. And it's just a thing that we watch for. It's common courtesy to communicate hazards to other riders. And since we're talking about that shorthand, number 7, the tap. Sometimes you might see a biker reach up and tap the top of his helmet. Now they're not checking to make sure that their helmet is secure. What they're doing is signaling that there is a cop. Now why would a law-abiding biker be interested in whether or not there are cops around? Because whether or not we're doing anything illegal or not, just by merit of bikers, we have a tendency to be profiled by police. It's not so much a sign that, hey, big brother is watching. It's more of a, hey, mind your P's and Q's. You're one of us, and I really don't want you to get shot because Barnaby Jones, who doesn't like bikers, decided today was his day. And if you don't think law enforcement have a tendency to look down on bikers, I suggest you take a look at some of the stories coming out of Texas these days. It's a very real thing. It's dangerous to our freedom, and honestly, it's dangerous to the lives of law-abiding people who happen to be doing nothing more offensive than riding on 2 wheels. And the last item on this list, number 8, the lean. Now, if you don't ride motorcycles, you might be confused as to why we lean so hard into turns. Well, not all of us, but the ones who really enjoy it and look at it as a motorsport. And that kind of ties into some points I made earlier. One, your body is an integral part of the geometry of the motorcycle itself. Without your body doing the things that it's there to do, the motorcycle is not going to handle on its own. And 2, the round profile of motorcycle tires means that they don't corner flat like cars do. You have to lean to get them to turn. So that means that we have to lean through turns. And you'll find that a lot of riders actually look at how far they lean when they're cornering it. That's kind of a point of pride. I don't know which way this goes. I'm going to try this way. Biker behaviors explained for those who might not know. Are there any other things that you've seen bikers do that leave you wondering, why the hell do they do that? Hit me up in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to answer those questions. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm really enjoying this ride, and I'm glad you were able to come along with me. Stay shiny side up out there. Peace.